So you might have heard that we now have a local mixed reality multiplayer mode to play in Puzzling Places. What does that mean? That means if you and a friend want to play a multiplayer game of Puzzling Places in pass-through together, and you want to have your play spaces actually synchronized so you can actually hand pieces to one another and not be in different parts of the room facing different directions, that all takes a little bit of syncing and some very clever tech behind the scenes that's working. So I'm going to show you how to enable all the settings that you need, and then I'm going to show you how the game works. So first things first, you have to go to settings. So let's go to settings, then privacy, and then device permissions. And you have to enable share point cloud data. So turn that on. This setting is, and this entire local mixed reality mode is available for Quest 2, 3, and Pro. However, for Quest 1, we also have kind of a workaround that you can use because you don't have point cloud sharing as a setting. So the second thing you have to do is you then go to permissions right underneath and scroll down to spatial data and turn on spatial data for Puzzling Places because the game needs to have that information. So now I'm going to launch into Puzzling Places. A few more things to enable. So go down to settings. I'm enabling pass-through, then color pass-through so you can see everything in color, and lastly, enable local mixed reality multiplayer. So this is the setting that is telling the game that, hey, it's telling the game, hey, try to synchronize both players' play spaces. So I'm gonna put in a room name Rio, and I'm gonna join the game first. So I'm gonna be player number 1, so I get to pick the puzzle, and also there's a few other things that come along with being player number 1. So Courtney, why don't you join the room as well? Great. So let's go ahead and jump into this. So we are in the game currently, but it hasn't yet synchronized. So why don't you move your controllers a bit? I can see your controllers are in front of me, so that means it's not fully synchronized. So a quick thing that you can do as player number 1 is you get to set actually where the center of both of your guys' play spaces are. So I just recentered myself. It also synchronizes the mixed reality mode. So now notice that her controllers and her hands are actually exactly on top of one another. We can interact. We can actually interact, and that's really nice. So this works with controllers. This also works with hand tracking. Let's see for the switch to happen. I think, oh, here we go. So that's nice. Hi.
Hey.
Pass pieces to each other and actually play a game. The other thing to know is that, so if the synchronization is not working, if she recenters from herself, she doesn't move the play space, but she tries to synchronize the play spaces. If I recenter, I actually move all the pieces and the central play space for both of us. So that's just something to note in terms of player 1 versus player 2. If you want a deeper dive video about multiplayer in general, there's another video on our page. The other thing I'm going to show you is how to do it manually. If the local sharing point cloud setting isn't working, how do you manually synchronize your play spaces? All right, so now I'm into Quest 1, as you can tell, and since the Quest 1 does not officially support the shared spatial anchors feature to have the automatic local mixed reality setup mode, it's giving me an error message saying the MR play space is not aligned. So it's just telling me to manually align the play spaces. So this is also useful for players that are also on Quest 2, 3, and Pro, and sometimes if the shared spatial anchors and the shared point clouds are not working, then you might need to manually align things. So the way to do that, and first of all, you can tell that they're not aligned because her avatar and herself are on 2 separate places. So the way to align that is we bring our controllers up against the rings. You have to put them up against each other and then press and hold the B and Y buttons. So we're both pressing and holding the B and Y buttons. The B and Y buttons are the locomotion buttons. So it's the same button combo that you press to kind of move back and forth. So both players, B and Y, press and hold the rings up against each other and they align. So the way we know they're aligned is her virtual controllers and her actual hands in the path-through are aligned. So that's really nice. If I pull a piece and I give it to you, you can pick it up. And that's really nice. One last thing I want to talk about is in terms of how do you handle app sharing and how do you handle 2 headsets on the same account, and how all that works. So if you have 2 headsets that are both logged into the same account, that actually will not work in multiplayer, because multiplayer assumes that there's 2 separate accounts that it's combining together. However, if on your second headset you have a secondary Oculus or Meta or Facebook account that's logged in, and you have app sharing enabled on the first account, so if that first account owns Puzzling Places and is installed on both headsets, but on the second headset there's a secondary account that is playing Puzzling Places with a permission that you get from app sharing, then you certainly can play Puzzling Places in multiplayer. So that's how you can play multiplayer, having only bought Puzzling Places once with 2 separate accounts. So just keep that in mind. However, the DLCs are not app shareable, unfortunately. That's not something we were able to manage. Maybe we continue to try to work on that in the future, but at the moment, both accounts need to own the DLCs to be able to play the DLC puzzles together. But, I mean, you have a ton of puzzles to play, and this is really fun.
Yeah.
So, yeah, happy puzzling and enjoy.